Giannis comes in and can be very special. The other adjustment is on the offensive end, they have to take a step back. And I know this is very tough. When Giannis comes back into the lineup, and I know it's probably a surprise for most of those guys that he was going to come back and play, he has to be the third option. Chris Middleton has to be the first option. Holiday has to be the second option. And Giannis has to be the third. And what I mean by him being the third, he has to be the guy setting the pick and rolls. You can't come up and set pick and rolls for him. It's a different series for him. You talked about it, Brandon, last week, and I watched you talked about his injury. I never had the type of injury that he had, but I listened to you and understood where he was coming from. He's not going to be able to break guys off the dribble the way he wants to. Anybody who watches Giannis, he's great off the dribble. He can get to the basket, and he finishes with the best of them. Those opportunities are probably not going to be there with his injury. So in order to hide that, because you want him on the floor, you want him setting the pick and rolls, rolling to the bucket. It looked like he still has a lot of athletic ability to finish around the basket. So you have to change your mindset. You still want him to be aggressive, but let's get Middleton being the Batman, Holiday being the Robin, and then Giannis steps in. So you change your approach to this and approach to the game the way that the Milwaukee Bucks play. Those two things are very key. You can't play Lopez long. You got to play Giannis at the 5, and then he has to be your third option on the offensive end. So now you have to rely on the Brett Forbes. You have to rely on the Jeff Teagues, the Collingtons, those guys to play bigger minutes and be productive, because you're going to have to play smaller to keep up with a faster Phoenix Suns team.
All right, so I want to dig into that real quick, Antoine, and I want to throw it back to you, because I want to focus on the playing small thing, because that is exactly what I wrote down for my notes of what I think Milwaukee can take out of this game. Is the Giannis at the 5 lineup gave Phoenix real problems. And you, by the way, Ty Lue, his impact is still kind of being felt in these playoffs, because you saw the Clippers when they were trying to claw back in their series against Phoenix, when Zubac went out and they had to play super small, even though Kawhi wasn't out there, they gave Phoenix a little bit of trouble with the small lineup. But Milwaukee can play small and still be tall, because Giannis is damn near 7 feet. Bobby Portis is a part of the small lineup. He's a tall guy. Middleton's obviously a tall guy. My question to you is, because Milwaukee's issue last night was defense. The reason that was the worst defensive game they've played this postseason, aside from Game 2 against Brooklyn, and they were a great defensive team all regular season. They've been the best defense in the postseason. With Giannis not at 100%, even though he's far better than any of us thought he would be by Game 1, do you think a small lineup with Pat Connaughton on the court, with Bobby Portis on the court, with maybe Bryn Forbes on the court, do you think that lineup can defend if Giannis isn't 100% on the defensive side of the ball, flying around protecting the rim?
Yes, I believe they can get it done, because Giannis is so athletic and so long. And obviously he showed that a couple of times throughout that game last night, even though they was down, obviously in transition with a tremendous block. But I just think in the half court, he makes it very difficult for you to finish over. Where Brook Lopez, who's not a terrible defender, but he's not the same athletic player that Giannis is. So if you got Giannis in the middle and they got to beat him down and Aiden's in the game, he can guard Aiden and step up and make it very difficult for a lot of guys to finish over him. The Phoenix Suns in the first half, or even through the first 3.5 quarters, they got their cake and eat it too. They was getting to the basket when they want to. They were getting to their sweet spots as far as Chris Paul and Devin Booker with their jump shots. You got to take one away. And the Bucks have to make those adjustments. And that's what Budenholzer has to be as a better coach. You got to make those adjustments. And this is Game 1 is always a fill-out game. But I want to see that in Game 2 if they want to win the series. The Phoenix Suns is very good, and they have a very good floor general who's going to get the ball to the right person and take advantage of mismatches. So you got to be on one accord, and you got to believe that Giannis is behind you, is going to help you, and he's going to make guys force him into that. Use his length and athletic ability, even though he's not 100%, to make it difficult for him.
Okay. 1996 NCAA champion. 10 years later, you go on and win the NBA championship You were a champion 2006, Miami Heat. So Antoine Walker, the great, following me, watching me, talking about, Brandon, I heard what you said about Giannis and his knee. I get where you was coming from. Oh, my God. Bro, you got me over here blushing. You see my cheeks. Antoine Walker following me. Listen, that was great. That was one of the greatest moments on TV for me. But no, listen, the only adjustment I see, it comes down to Drew Holiday. That's what it is, man. Drew Holiday, wow, it's like he's the Chris Bosh on this team. He's the Kevin Love on this team. There's that guy that has to sacrifice. Yeah, we're trying to force this big three thing, but on the offensive end, it's just not clicking. It hasn't clicked consistently all year. So, Nick, you talked about this earlier. You need to sit down with Drew Holiday and say, look, we know you can go for 30 on any given night, but it's not consistent enough for us, and it just throws everything off. I just need to put you on CP3, and I want you to harass him all night because of the impact that he has, you know, on the game. Not only what he's doing the last 2 games, averaging 35 points or whatever it is, 8 assists, only 2 turnovers, but how he get others in the game. So, Wilds, I think that's the move here, is you sit Drew Holiday down and say, look, we understand you're trying to find your way on the offensive end, but we don't need it. It's messing up what we're trying to do. Let's go on the defensive side and harass CP3.
See, I want to go the other way. I think he can do both. I don't think it's an either or necessarily, but I want to see Drew Holiday at full offensive spin moves getting to the hoop. Antoine, I've got a theory for you, and tell me if this holds water or not. You know when teams go on a run, and it's like you can either call a timeout or you can just drive to the bucket and get a foul, make your free throws, and that just kind of like, it takes so long, it kind of just relaxes the team and sort of stops the run, and you get free points. It feels to me when I'm watching this game, the Bucks almost have the opposite problem. That when they get fouled, or Giannis specifically gets fouled, the fans start going crazy. He misses his shots. It like energizes the entire arena. Meanwhile, the Bucks are like, oh God, these are free points that we're losing, we're just giving away. Meanwhile, Phoenix shoots 25 for 26 from the line. They're the best free throw shooting team in the history of the NBA playoffs. So to me, in an odd turn of events, I think the Bucks missing their free throws is giving Phoenix energy, and maybe it's the count, maybe it's the home crowd, but do you see this free throw discrepancy being as big a factor as I think it is?
It definitely could be. I don't disagree with you. I think it's a great point to point out. I wouldn't, after one game, hold my hat on that just completely. And I think Giannis, and we saw Giannis figured out in the Atlanta series, and he wasn't horrible last night. I think he went 6 out of 10, something like that. But you're going to get that from Giannis. I think one thing about the Bucks, they understand what they're up against. They understand that Giannis is not a great free throw shooter. And I think that usually only comes with him. But it can be a difference. This is a series that I have it going seven games. It's going to be very tough. I think last night the margin of victory was a little lopsided, but I believe these games are going to come down to the wire. And they could come down to free throw shoot. So it could be a little deflating if he's your one option. But remember what I said in the beginning. Giannis cannot be your one option. It's not because he's not good enough or he's not been great the last 3 out of 4 years. He's 2-time MVP. He's got an injury that he's dealing with. I want to go to Chris Middleton, a guy who's in a great rhythm, who just came off a great Eastern Conference Finals. I want to get him and play off him. The reason why Chris Middleton didn't complete his game last night, I thought it was moments in the game where he just took off because Giannis was trying to get himself going, or Holiday was trying to get himself going. This is the finals. I play with D-Wade. I'm going to reiterate this. D-Wade averaged 35 points a night. We rode that coattail. Ride Chris Middleton coattail. He has the ability to get you 35 a night. It's nothing wrong with that. Ride that coattail, and it may ride you to a title. He's that gifted, he's that good, and it's his coming out party.
And on the free throw thing, Wilds, the other adjustment the Bucks can make is get a better whistle. I mean, last night, Giannis went to the line 12 times. Other than that, Drew Holiday got 1 shooting foul. Brook Lopez got 1 shooting foul. That was it. The Suns got this isn't why they lost, But that was a favorable whistle to Phoenix. That when one team is the best free throw shooting team arguably ever, that's going to help them greatly. When Chris Middleton shoots 0 free